a DOMA problem. The question is whether or not the federal government, under our federalism scheme, has the authority to regulate.
When this week began, Charles, a lot of people on both sides were wondering, hoping, expecting that there was going to be a sweeping decision on same-sex marriage and where it stands in the country, either pro or con, but that it would be, in a sense, it would be put to rest. We would understand what the court says the law of the land is. As we end these 2 days of hearings, where are we?
Well, it looks as if the justices are reluctant to do anything on what happened yesterday. And I disagree with Chuck. I do think these are very separate issues. What they talked about yesterday about the Proposition 8 is whether there's a constitutional right that overrides everything for an individual to marry who he or she wants. What was at stake today was not a individual right. What's at stake today is the federalism issue. Is it exclusively the role of the states to define what a marriage is? And I think the weight of the argument is that it probably is that. Justice Kennedy, I think, will clearly be the swing vote on this issue. His question implies that he would overturn DOMA, or at least the part of it, as Fred indicated, where the federal government is weighing in on what marriage is. But there's another choice, and there is an off-ramp here, and I think it would be wise if they took it. The procedural issues here are very, very complicated and unique. It's extremely unusual for the Congress to represent a measure in the court rather than the administration. So I think Kennedy and the justices could easily rule that they have no standing, the issue is not before the court properly. And look, if the issue is that public opinion has radically changed, which it has in the 17 years or so since DOMA was passed, then it'll be reflected in the Congress, as it always is ultimately, and DOMA will be overturned in the Congress, which is where it should be. And then you won't have a sense of people saying, well, it was done by the 9 robed eminences on the court unilaterally, and not a matter of diktat, but it'll be a matter of democratically resolving the issue. That's the way that we ought to go, and I think Kennedy has at least the opportunity to end up pursuing that.
They say it's about the mission, but if it was, we'd be out there securing the border. They're worried about securing the bottom line, and that's the final answer. They don't care about securing the border anymore.
Are you skeptical of the impact of a $250 million cut in Border Patrol?
No, but I'm skeptical about the motive. As if there isn't anywhere else in the budget of this huge department that is constructing a headquarters for years and years now, where I'm sure a lot of money ends up in the concrete. You know, this is a stunt that's not going to work. It's obvious that the administration is in every department trying to find the one neuralgic area that will affect the public the worst way, and the symbol of that is the White House tours. But that just isn't working because that became so obvious that everybody understands. I mean, can you imagine how much waste is in that huge department that is remaining untouched? And don't tell me that the money is unshiftable. The Republicans have offered to give the administration the power to move the money around. Obama has said he not only won't do it, but he would veto a bill that allowed him to shift the money around. This is clearly a stunt to get people to hurt at the receiving end of services like the Border Patrol, like White House tours, and to blame it on Republicans. It's not going to work.
Immigration age cohort of the Mexican population has dropped dramatically because their birth rate has gone down. And furthermore, the Mexican economy is dramatically improved over what it was. So I'm just calling on everyone to calm down.
A 20%, Chuck, a 20% cut is not a moderate one. That's not a small one.
That's what it really is.
Even if all that is true, I think hanging up a sign all across the border saying that during happy hour on Wednesdays and Thursdays there'll be nobody at the border might actually contribute to a somewhat of an uptick in infiltration.
People who organize these trips across the border already know when it's defended and not defended.
Yeah, but now we're doubling, we're increasing that time, and that's going to make a difference. But the problem is it's not if it'll reduce the numbers. The issue is, why was this even required in the first place? And it's purely a matter of partisanship. You called me skeptical. That's inadequate. I'm cynical. I'm so cynical that I make Diogenes look credulous. With this administration, I don't buy anything they're telling me. When they reopen the White House so little Iowa tots can go on their visits, I'll begin believing in them again.
This has been a Sunfish production.